Now, our next guest spent 9 years searching for a diagnosis before finally being told that she had premenstrual dysphoric disorder, also known as PMDD.
Shauna joins us now to tell us more. It's Shauna Halpin, and we're also joined by GP Dr. Ciara McKenna. Thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it because this is mind-blowing what you have actually gone through. But before we start, Ciara, what is PMDD? Because for an awful lot of people, this is going to be a new term.
Yeah, so it's a relatively new term. It was only classified by the WHO as a disease in 2019, but that doesn't mean that it didn't exist long before that. So if we kind of think of the kind of woman's menstrual cycle, so you have your period, you ovulate in the middle, and then your period again. So there's different hormonal changes happening throughout that. And PMDD affects women from kind of the time of ovulation up to their period, so the middle of their cycle. And it's kind of mood symptoms. It can be depression, anxiety, irritability. It can be combined with physical symptoms or cognitive symptoms like forgetfulness, insomnia. But the big thing is this is different from just being a little bit moody before your period. In the diagnosis, the definitions, it has a significant impact on people's quality of life, significant distress, significant impact on relationships, work, school.
Okay.
How common is this, or how?
So, I mean,
does it range in different severities as well, obviously?
Yeah, it does range, and PMDD is very severe. So yeah, that's what we're trying to get away. It's different to just PMS.
Yes.
It is not PMS. They say 6 to 8% of women are affected, but a lot of experts would say that's an underestimate. Okay.
Because it's so new, this new term. Now, Shauna, can we please go back to 9 years ago?
Yeah.
What happened to you and your body?
This all came out of the blue for me when I was 18 years of age. I would have got my period around 13, 14, and I would have sailed through that. I'd have no problems. I'd have it like everyone else, a bit of PMS, like a bit of cramps in your stomach, craving chocolate, kind of, the norm.
Yeah.
But once I hit 18, I don't know, something in my brain switched, and this just all came out of the blue. I remember I'm big into playing my sport, and I played at a high level with Nafina GA club. And I remember coming off the field one of the nights after training, saying to my friend, I was like, look, I don't know what's wrong with me. I cannot do this anymore. I was just so overwhelmed, with anxiety, low mood, depression, a lot of suicidal ideation. I just didn't want to be here anymore. And it wasn't that I wanted to die or anything like that in any way. I just wanted this overwhelming feeling to go away. And I'd have a lot of self-harm. I would spend most of my time sleeping in bed. I literally slept my 9 years away, and that was it.
What?
Did it just come? Did it just one day you just felt like a totally different person?
Completely different person. And there was no triggers to, for kind of what happened. As I went back, I was like, look, there was no childhood trauma or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? There was no deaths in the family or anything like that. That would have made sense to the way I was feeling, but there was nothing like that whatsoever. This literally just came out of the blue, and no one knew why. So I was kind of left in the dark then for kind of 9 years after that.
But during that, obviously you and your family and your mother were well, there's something has happened to my child.
Yeah.
So you did seek medical help numerous times.
Numerous times, I did.
What happened?
So I would have went to my GP, and my GP would have referred me on then to the mental health team in Ballymun. That's where I'm from. But even at the time, you go in and you chat to them for 10 minutes, and they think they kind of know you then, kind of thing. And all they did was prescribe me medication. So medication after medication after medication.
What sorts?
So it was antidepressants, SSRIs, so sertraline, venlafaxine, kind of things like that. And I've been back and forward to the mental health team then, for the past 5 years. And all they did was medication, and it didn't work, and I knew in myself it didn't work either.
But you were diagnosed with bipolar at one stage.
Yeah. So my mental health took a big downhill spiral then in 2020, and I genuinely didn't know what else to do. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to be here anymore, and I needed to seek kind of immediate help. So I admitted myself into St. Vincent's Psychiatric Hospital, which was probably the worst experience that I've ever had. I shouldn't have done it. In there, kind of like all they did was medicate me. Like that was all. Like I was literally like I was drugged up to the nines basically. And no, when you're in there, like I remember I was on 3 antidepressants, mood stabilizers, antipsychotic medication. I was on, like 4, relaxers like benzos, like diazepam. I was on 4 Ensure drinks during the day because a lot of the medication that you're on would have, suppressed your appetite. So like I went down to 7 stone. Like my family used to hate coming up to see me because all they could see was like 2 eyes staring back at them. Like there was nothing there, whatsoever.
I mean, you said you shouldn't have done it, but you had
No.
nothing else. You didn't know where else to turn.
No,
at that
like no
stage.
one could give me answers to why I was feeling like this.
How were family around this? It must from their young girl who was
Yeah.
into sport,
Yeah.
fit, healthy, happy,
Yeah.
to be, as you said, just 2 eyes
Yeah.
looking at must have been so,
Oh, look, they
so
were,
difficult.
as I said, like they hated coming up to see me the way I was because they were helpless. There was nothing that they can do. Like when I was in there, like you were kind of made to take part in like group therapy. Like, and one question they'd ask you every morning was like, so how do you feel today? And every morning I was like, well, like I don't know how I feel. Like I feel numb. Like the amount of medication that you have me on, like I couldn't feel anything. Well, it was kind of coming up to COVID, and they were discharging a lot of people. So I'm the one who got discharged as well. And before I left, I was chatting to one of the top nurses in there, and she was like, look, Shauna, like we've done every single thing that we've done in the treatment plan. We don't know what else to do with you. Like, do you have private health insurance? I was like, no, like I don't have private health insurance. She was like, you can always come back. They can't do the same thing twice with you. So a few days later, because of how like suicidal I was like, look, I have to come back again. But because of the misdiagnosis that I had of a personality disorder, it's kind of all to do with your emotions, and it's more kind of talking therapy and seeing a psychologist. So they wouldn't take me back in. But before I was discharged, they were saying, look, if I still feel the same, there's always electric shock treatment that I can go down that route. And that was the mental health system. Like, do you know what I mean? When I was in there, I got misdiagnosed with being bipolar and unstable personality disorder. And they knew themselves that I didn't have what you're saying I had, but like they didn't know what
nothing
else.
else.
They didn't know
there
what
was
else to do.
nothing else to do. Like.
Because the knowledge wasn't there,
No,
clearly.
it wasn't there, no.
You think electroshock therapy, you're thinking the 19th century.
Yeah, exactly,
like
yeah.
that's...
Yeah.
Okay, you clearly... You sought help in St. Vincent's. You went,
Yeah,
so
I went,
you
yeah.
wanted to stay here.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So when did things change, Shauna? How did they change?
Well, like before, like when I left, I left the exact same way I went into St. Vincent's,
Yeah.
like no help whatsoever. But this time there was a big difference that I had to get off all the medication that I was on. It was when I got out, it was kind of like another 5 years kind of after that. I was still going through all this.
So were you cold turkey on no medication at this stage?
Oh yeah, and the cold turkey, like took me a couple of months to wean myself off, but I was eventually.
And
cold
your
turkey.
life is in bed?
Oh yeah, in bed. Do you know what I mean? I had to take time off work the whole lot because I could not function. Like I just 3 weeks for me, 3 weeks out of that whole month, I would have been floored. And then kind of I'd have 1 week in between where I kind of feel semi-normal, like whatever normal is these days, and then I would spiral again.
Oh my God.
So this was constantly happening. Yeah.
Tell us, your mum had a big part in
Yeah.
getting some treatment for you.
Look, if it wasn't for my mum and dad, like, do you know what I mean? I would have been kind of lost without them. Like, we did a lot of research. Like, we did our own research, and that's how we found out that I have PMDD. We looked up kind of PMS on the internet, and PMDD popped up. And there was 16 symptoms of PMDD, and you have to have 5 or more to be diagnosed. And I was like, I have every single one of these symptoms. Because I 100% have, I have PMDD. Oh. My GP would have then referred me on to Beaumont, to the gynecologist.
Yeah.
I would have also been referred to the Rotunda, to the endocrinologist in there.
Yeah.
But when I went in there, you're in the public sector, they don't really care. Do you know what I mean? You're only a
doing what
number.
I have to say, they're kind of trying to do what they can, but it's
What they can.
overwhelmed. The system is overwhelmed.
Definitely. But
So
I was in there within
felt let down.
10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? In and out within 10 minutes. That's it. All they prescribed was the Yasmin pill.
So so when you've had these 16, you
Yeah.
ticked all those boxes.
Every single
PMDD.
box. Yeah.
What treatment were they able to give you, and what impact did it have?
Well, I would have went down the private route then.
Oh, yeah,
I'd have to go down to privately. because
You can't get it on
no,
the
like
public.
the public sector they only offered me the pill, and the pill made me 10 times worse. So I couldn't. I was feeling so suicidal as it is. I couldn't go on the pill because the way I was feeling. So I went down the private route, and I sought help down that way.
And what happened?
So they offered me kind of. Her name was Dr. Doha Ali. She I spent €200 for a 30-minute consultation. It was the best €200 I've ever spent. I'd 100% recommend going to her.
What
She's
did
in
she
the
do?
manicure clinic.
Yeah.
She put me on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. So I'm 28 years of age and I'm on like HRT.
But you're telling me that your symptoms have
Oh,
they
like
eased? Have they gone away? What?
They've gone away.
From being on HRT, are you on a patch? Are you on the gel?
I'm on patch.
You're on a
Just have it
HRT patch,
Yeah, just
and it's
on-
changed your life.
Changed my life, yeah.
And that obviously is medication that would normally be used for menopause.
Menopause women in their 50s, yeah. And I'm 28 and I'm on HRT.
And it's made a life-changing impact.
Definitely. Like I'm able to, put this behind me now and move forward with my life.
Well, can I, Ciara,
Yeah.
what's this doing? 28-year-old, like we're told to get to know your hormones as women all the time. I think an awful lot of people will know that low feeling where you feel empty, but this is,
Yeah.
I can't understand this. I can't compute it. What's HRT doing?
So we're talking about how that kind of cyclical,
Yes.
kind of so I suppose PMDD isn't abnormal. It's not a hormone abnormality. It's sensitivity to a normal hormonal fluctuation. And the idea with HRT, it's one of the treatment options, is it stabilizes hormones. So it gets rid of that cyclical fluctuation. And so there's lots of different treatments for PMDD. It's not a one size fits all.
Gotcha.
But I think, unfortunately for Shauna, if someone had given her diagnosis much earlier, and for women to know, well, why am I being prescribed something, and what's the purpose of this? How is it going to work for me?
Yeah.
I suppose we're talking about a disorder that was given a name in 2019. Is there a lot of knowledge about it out there, Ciara? Are we lacking a lot of knowledge about this? I can't get over it's HRT that has changed your life, something that's been around for years.
I suppose there's more and more research being done, but it's still very lacking.
But awareness, like if you go to your GP.
It's not something that's taught. We weren't taught in medical school about PMDD. Doctors are taking more awareness. I suppose there's more awareness about hormones now. There's a lot more talk about menopause and perimenopause, and it is coming, but it's lacking.
Does taking HRT in your 20s have an impact on the body?
HRT, it's the same hormones that are in the pill, and we prescribe the pill to women in their teens, in their 20s. So yes, there's risks with all hormonal treatment, but it's a benefit.
It wouldn't be advertised, though, obviously, for that sort of age group.
No, it wouldn't be, but it is used.
I first heard about this symptom because of Vicky Pattinson. She's incredible. She's the documentarian, former reality TV star. She's got PMDD, and I was looking at it one day and I was like, this is what she goes through is horrendous.
Horrific,
What you've just said is something that my brain is not, it's awful.
Yeah.
So how are you?
Amazing, yeah. No bother. Back to my normal self.
Are you really total back to your
Yeah.
That's the impact.
Sail through that time of month now. I have no problem. But my goal now is to create awareness around PMDD as much as I can.
Yeah.
My goal is, I want to get into schools and share my story with, other young ladies who, who might be going through the same thing. My goal is to get this on the national curriculum in school. No, not only PMDD, but endometriosis and PCOS, all these debilitating conditions that women go through, millions of women go through. I can guarantee you now, there's probably women out there in psychiatric facilities being misdiagnosed, being labelled, with something that they don't have. Do you know what I mean? If I had known this 9 years ago, and if I had been educated on this in school, and if I had found out the impact that it had on my mental health, I would have went down the hormone route instead of going down to see a psychiatrist. Do women have been medically gaslit in this country for years. Globally, we have. And, women's health has been pushed underneath the carpet, and it still has. And I don't mean this in a bad way whatsoever, but I truly believe, if this was a man who was going through this situation that I'm in now, there'd be a lot more understanding, empathy, a lot more support.
Studies, science.
Do you know what I mean? Women are kind of surviving in this world, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? More needs to be done. And that's my goal. I've been on to TDs about this. I've been emailing a lot of them, kind of like saying like, look, how can I get this into the national curriculum, because that's my goal now.
And into medical
Yeah,
schools.
medical school
medical
teachers,
schools.
doctors,
That's my goal, yeah.
You're incredible.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
That is an amazing story. We thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on
no, thanks for
and
having me.
putting
You're very
yourself
good.
out there to talk about this,
That's no
which
problem.
some people find so hard. Shauna Halpin, that has been absolutely incredible. And Ciara, I know that you are very much at the front of trying to push this sort of medicine and inform people on this. Dr. Ciara McKenna, thank you so much. Thank
Well
you both
done
so
to
much.
your
very much.
mum and dad for that. Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that just
HRT.
incredible? Absolutely.
Life-changing.
Thank you, Shauna.
Amazing, amazing.